Chapter 57 Priya. The celebration that took place after the Battle of Harshingar was almost a frenzy. The grand gardens of the Mahal had been taken over by tables of fruits and wine, of tandoor and colored rice. Sima and Priya were soon separated by the press, and for a long moment Priya stood alone, surrounded by noise and color. It made Priya wince a little, imagining what the kitchens had gone through to make such a celebration possible, in the midst of their home and city being overrun, their emperor being captured and dying by his own hand. Lata had turned up before them briefly, a somber figure carving her way through the noise and feasting. She'd relaxed at the sight of Priya, just a little unraveling of the tension in her shoulders and a smoothing of her brow, before her face went severe again. She took Priya aside. "I will tell the Empress that you are safe and well. She feared for you." "Is she?" "Almost unhurt," said Lata, triumphant, relieved, as we all are. Her gaze softened. "The Empress's other women are in the old queen's quarters now, if you want to seek them out. They'd be glad to see you well. Sima too." Later, Priya managed to say, "Thank you." Lata nodded, eyes oddly kind, and disappeared back into the chaos of the crowd. Malini was going to be Empress. In truth, Parijat was under her control. Emperor Chandra dead. In a different time, in a life Priya wasn't living, she'd be elated in this moment. It meant Malini would have her throne. It meant Ahiranya would finally have its freedom from Parijatvipa. In a different time, she would have left Malini behind and gone home and helped build Ahiranya into something new and whole, piece by piece. Until one day, maybe, Ahiranya would be safe and secure, its fields free from rot, its temple council large enough and trustworthy enough that Bhumika could finally sleep easily at night. And then Priya would, perhaps, leave again, would come to Harshingar and see it in peacetime, see Malini in peacetime, and then, foolish dreams, even more foolish hopes. None of that lay ahead of her. There was only the yaksa, only the ache in Priya's chest, only her purpose. "You there," one highborn slurred. "Should you be here?" "Yes," Priya said flatly. He looked over her plain salwar kameez, her boots, the knotted cloth of her chunni, rumpled but bound in place at her hip. She was clearly no dancer or courtesan, and his face creased in a frown. He reached for her one big hand, trying to grip her arm, and Priya took a pointed step back. He opened his mouth. "See here. The Ahiranya woman is allowed to be here," Ashutosh said sharply. "Leave her be." He stayed when the highborn stranger apologized and skulked away. "My men are looking for you," he said abruptly. "Something about a rematch." Then he gestured broadly to the edge of the hall and walked away. Priya walked toward where he pointed. She saw Ramesh and the others, flowers and vines still strewn across their armor, with carafes of wine scattered all around them. They were shouting and laughing, and Razia's women were with them. One was rolling up her sleeve. "If a little thing like Sima can beat you," she was saying, "then what trouble are you going to give me?" "Oh, big talk," said one of Ashutosh's men. "What are you betting to back that pride up, huh?" "You really want to bet against an archer." She flexed her arm pointedly, and one of the men whooped like she'd offered a kiss. "I'm not betting wine, sweetheart. I'm betting real money." "I want archery lessons," said the man. "If I win, that's what I want from you." "You'd be better letting her teach you," the Doawali woman gestured at Sima, who was sitting with a carafe in her lap, her face glowing with joy and liquor. "She's got all the patience, don't you, Sima?" "I'm not bad," Sima said, "but you'll have to beat me at arm wrestling too if you want me to teach you. That's only fair. And frankly, I don't see that happening." There was some more good-natured yelling. When Priya walked over, numb inside, Ramesh looked up. "Elder Priya," he said, smiling. The careworn face was happy. "Come join us. Have a drink." "I have your favorite, my lady," Sahar said, waved a bottle in the air. "We can share." A pang of grief ran through Priya like lightning. She thought of sitting there with all of them, drinking that wine, laughing with them. Thought of being embraced by all that knew trust, by friendship. She thought of how far they'd come, all of them, and how rosy the future looked. Like something good could be cobbled together out of all the blood and death and sacrifices, the horrors they'd seen. She was going to ruin it all. She had to ruin it all. "I'd love to," she said with false lightness, "but I need to talk to my advisor alone first." She grabbed Simma's arm, smiling. "Come on," she said. "I've got something to tell you." "I think Romesh really likes you now," Simma mused. "He still won't offer to share a drink with me without making some kind of bargain, you know?" She was looking around at the hall, a smile on her mouth. "Fuck, this is such a relief, isn't it, Pri? We're finally through. We can talk to your Empress, tell her what we need. We can go home and hopefully remember," Priya said, suddenly mustering her courage, "how I once told you passing through the deathless waters wasn't something I wanted for you." She watched the highborn lords laughing, jubilant, the flicker of torchlight turning the lattices of the marble and sandstone palace golden, liquid, alien. Watched as Simma's smile faded with disquiet. "I remember," said Simma, voice low. "The waters have done something to me. They've demanded a price, and I—" Priya's voice faltered. Her heart hurt so much she didn't know how her ribs could contain it. "I'm going to leave this feast in a moment," Priya told Simma. "I want you to speak to Lata if you can find her, or Lord Razia, or Lord Khalil. You choose. Tell them I'm planning to betray the Empire. Tell them I'm going to kill her. Tell them you came as soon as you realized, and they must stop me." "What?" Simma's eyes were wide, her expression horrified. "You heard me," Priya said wretchedly. "I'm not letting you do this," Simma said after a beat of silence. This isn't something you want. I know it isn't. You need to explain, Pri, not just talk like this, like you're not yourself." "I'm not myself," Priya thought miserably. "I'm not." "Something reached for me when I used my gifts in the battle," Priya said. "A Yaksa spoke to me again. It said if I want all the people we love to live, I need to do what it asks. I need to do this. I am afraid, Simma, but I have no choice." Her voice cracked. She voiced it to remain low, to not draw attention. "I just need your help to control the outcome." "Okay," Simma said, blinking rapidly, like she was trying to hold back panic. "Okay, and then what? We leave?" "No," said Priya. "You stay. You have to stay to warn them. And then you convince them to protect you, because whatever is in Ahiranya, it's dangerous, Simma, and it doesn't love us. It doesn't love anyone. These Parijat Vipans will rip me apart." "They won't," Priya said, not knowing if she believed it or if she wanted to believe it. "You're smart. You'll survive, and you'll have betrayed me. Maybe that will count for something." Don't be stupid." Simma stumbled over her words, sounding close to tears, all her joy twisted to horror. "Please," Priya said in a small voice. I can't save myself, or you. This is all I have. I have to do this for our family, for Bhumika and Padma and Rook and everyone. The Aksa will kill them if I don't. I have to do this for love." Love and love, like two opposite points she was forever reaching for, stretching her thin. Love for Malini and love for home. Love like a future and love like sacrifice. "There's something wrong with Ahiranya," Priya said as dancers swirled around them, as the wail of the sarangi filled the incense-laden air. "I can feel it, and more than that, no, it isn't important. I've spoken too much already." She looked across the crowd at Ashutosh's men and Razia's women playing some kind of game of dice, at Sahar throwing back her head in a laugh, and Romesh shaking his own head but smiling like the war was finally done and there was nothing but better days ahead of them. "There are people here who know you, who like you. They'll protect you if you let them." "Priya, you can't," said Simma helplessly. "You love her. It doesn't matter," Priya managed to say, forcing the words out. "And I love you too, Simma, and I'm so sorry." Simma made a choked noise. "Don't cry," Priya said sternly, pressing her arm harder against Simma's own. "Please, don't." "Fine," said Simma. "Fine, I won't. I'm trusting you. Fuck knows why. I love you too. Oh, Priya's chest was tight. Inside it something burned. "Give me half an hour," she said. "Then tell them." There had been no sign of Empress Malini at the celebration. That had disturbed no one. Apparently, emperors past had often arrived belatedly to their own celebrations and left swiftly. It allowed their men to debauch themselves without shame, without an imperial audience. That was all Priya's benefit. Malini was not surrounded by eyes. She knew where Malini would be. She walked, and somehow no one stopped her. The corridors of the Mahal were beautiful. Silk on the walls, gemstones inlaid in the ceilings, the columns. The wind moved through the gauze curtains at the window and made them dance, soft-winged like resting birds. The moon was out. It was a beautiful night. Against her side the thorn knife burned. She could feel the thrum of the trees in the garden. She could feel the needle flower at Malini's throat. It called to her like a song. There were guards, of course, at the doors of the imperial courtroom. 5 of them looked like priests. Priya did not have to approach them. The seeds sewn into her clothes bloomed, and vines drifted across the floor. She took them quietly unconscious. It was a gentle business, as these things went. She was almost sure they would awaken again. Then she walked in. Malini was standing alone in the court. Above her, on the dais, was the throne. An expansive pillow of silver backed by ivory carved into the delicate flowers flecked gold by the light. Empty, for now. Next to her stood a pit of fire, which flickered and burned strangely, the flames inside it dying down. Soon they would be nothing but sputtering embers. She turned. The firelight shone on her face, which was cold, remote. But then she clearly realized it was Priya before her, and her expression went tender, warmed by more than flame. "Priya," she said, "it is done." Priya walked forward, cold marble beneath her, Malini's bright face before her. "Beloved." "I need," said Priya, "to cut the needle flower from your throat. I need to take it from you." "I'm so sorry, Malini."